And welcome, folks, to Champions for Life. I'm your host, Ken Wilson, and we're just delighted to be in the studio with you today. Of course, I got Max back there pushing all the buttons, making sure that we sound excellent. And so just so happy to be here with you. Shout out to KKVV 1060 AM, the light of Las Vegas, who is broadcasting this show via the airwaves at KKVV. We love KKVV and all the wonderful things that are happening there. And just a lot of stuff in the news today. If you missed last week's show, with special guest, we had George Harris, who's running for State Senate District 8, and he is a character. Not only did he try and steal my producer, which he may end up, which we don't know. We will find out. If the show is no longer on the air, it's because George Harris, perhaps even Senator George Harris, after the election, has stolen Max, which we're not allowing. Correct, Max? Yeah. Okay, good. But we have them recorded. So that was great. George Harris going to be awesome. A guy with definitely got some ideas about what he wants to have done, and it was wonderful show. Actually, it was exciting. It was very much exciting. We got a number of events coming up, and the big one is the pastor's luncheon. For those of you who lead a congregation, First Choice Pregnancy Services wants to buy you lunch. This is going to happen May 14th, so it's coming up. You've got to RSVP for this. It's going to be the day before. If you're watching via YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, there's the advertisement. But this is going to be May 14th, 12 noon, at the Four Seasons Church. That's 2980 South Durango Drive, and on the west side of town here in Las Vegas. And the number you need to call to RSVP, pastors, listen, we want to buy you breakfast. It's not only do we want to just feed you and see you and give you a hug, we also want to let you know about our clinic, First Choice Pregnancy Services, and what we're doing. And we also want to give you some tools about how you can approach and counsel and minister to young ladies that are facing an unplanned pregnancy in your congregation. And it's a real thing. Or even women who have already gone through the abortion procedure, right? And are now hurting. And we're really qualified to do that here because we have seen literally tens of thousands of patients that have come through our doors. And many of those who have already undergone the abortion trauma and need loving compassion, ministry, and care. And that's what we're about here at First Choice. In fact, if you're listening to the broadcast today, and that's you, maybe you are facing an unplanned pregnancy and you don't have any answers, right? Or maybe someone's given you the abortion pill and you're contemplating taking it. I urge you, get more information by giving First Choice a call. It's why we exist. We're a clinic. We're a free clinic. But this is why we exist, to give you more information, because a lot of people, for those that are, pushing the abortion pill or abortion as some kind of resource, oftentimes there is an agenda behind why they're doing that, right? So they're not going to give you all the information that surrounds the medical complications, the risks, the potential depression, the anxiety, all of that. They're not going to give you information about, what's the status of your unborn child. Furthermore, they're certainly not going to give you an ultrasound, right? So we do all of those things. So take this number down. Our number here at First Choice, free clinic, our number 294-CARE. That's 294-2273. And give us a call, set up an appointment. Again, you're not going to pay a dime. We never, listen, we've, maybe 100,000 clients have walked through our doors. We haven't charged any of them a dime. Not one penny, ever, in the 20 years that we've been open. We're not going to charge you either. And if you want more information, you can look us up online. Again, you can schedule your appointment online at our website, firstchoicelv.com. That's firstchoicelv.com. Got to spell it all out. Firstchoicelv. LV stands for Las Vegas, obviously.com. And or you can give us a call. Again, a number 702-294-CARE. 294-2273. And if you're looking obviously on the web, you can see our number right below us and our website. Now, our website for Champions for Life, which is this show that we're doing, we have our own website, Champions for Life. And from that, we post all kinds of events and things that we're going to be doing for our supporters, for those who want to volunteer or want more information about, maybe becoming part of the staff here at First Choice, maybe events that we're planning, all of that stuff. But our client side webpage, the one that ministers to the needs of women who've never heard from us before, that website is firstchoicelv.com. And so, again, if you need more information, give us a call, 294-CARE, right here in Las Vegas. I've been doing this 20 years. 20 years. Speaking of which, right, as to this day, we have celebrated, where are we at now? 47,000 plus birthdays of children who are alive today because First Choice exists. 47, we're going to crack 48,000 here pretty soon. Isn't that amazing? That's what God has done at First Choice. And speaking of which, listen, if you would like to, be a part of this, perhaps even donate, monthly, quarterly, or perhaps your business, if you're if you're part of the board and you're looking for great ministries to support, listen, you're not going to get better than First Choice. I would urge you to make First Choice part of your company's philanthropic giving throughout the year and see if the Lord doesn't bless your company. And if you end up with more business than, that you know what to do with, then that's not our problem. Just open up more stores, more shops, and do whatever you got to do. But the beautiful thing about being a sponsor either of this show or being a donor towards First Choice is that you get, two for the price of one. You get a mom, and if she decides to keep her child, a beautiful baby, and the joy is just it multiplies. And for you businessmen, you're building your customer base. That's what you're doing. Speaking of which, why don't we acknowledge one of our great sponsors? In fact, let's do that, and then we will be right back. And I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge RTS Postal Express for all your printing needs, whether it's color copies, whether it's black and white copies. Maybe you would like your company or business logo on your shirts or your cups or your umbrellas, or perhaps you need business banners or signs. You name it, RTS Postal Express. My man Angelo, if you mention Champions for Life, you will get a discount on your order, so make it a big one. For more information, contact RTS at 702-489-4859. Again, that's 702-489-4859. RTS Postal Express, one of the proud sponsors of the Champions for Life broadcast. And welcome back, folks. We love RTS. We love Angelo and everything they're doing. Listen, all your printing needs, mention Champions for Life. You're going to get a big discount. We love Angelo. We love all our sponsors here, people that make it happen, not only for this show, but our donors as well. The beautiful thing about volunteering at First Choice, I got to be honest with you, is you get to see some of the clients that, that are living happily ever after. And the joy is just, it's contagious. This is a wonderful place to volunteer, a wonderful place to work. And the ladies and men that work here, they're angels. They just really are. It's just an amazing ministry. First Choice Pregnancy Services. Been here 20 years. And did you know, I always like to say this, First Choice has received an award from Focus on the Family as the premier, the model crisis pregnancy center in the state? No, in the nation. Isn't that amazing? First Choice, our own pregnancy services clinic right here, First Choice Pregnancy Services, an award from Focus on the Family. Just amazing stuff. And I would say we've earned it, but God has blessed us through the years to allow us to serve this community, and through a beautiful facility in the heart of Las Vegas. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. But it will. You know how it gets better? I'll tell you how it gets better. It gets better when we open up our next clinic, and that's what we're striving for. Lord willing, we want to replicate this clinic and have another one at another location in town that would prove to be very effective. And listen, in a city of 3.5 million people, we really need more than, I think there's only 2 crisis pregnancy centers in the city of Las Vegas. We need more. And Lord willing, that's going to happen. And you can make that happen by being a donor or a sponsor of this broadcast. Now, if you're a businessman and you would like to advertise on this broadcast, well, we'd love to promote your business. And again, if you'd like more information about any of that, being a volunteer, being a sponsor of this broadcast, being a donor, being even potentially a staff member, if you're a medical professional, nurse, doctor, we could use you. We absolutely can use you. In fact, we just recently held our medical professionals night. But you know what happened? Tell them what happened, Max. There was Trump shows up, right? He decides to visit Las Vegas the very evening we scheduled our medical professionals night, where we invited medical professionals to visit. Now, we had the meeting. We did have some medical professionals, but, Trump. So we're going to do it again. We're going to schedule another medical professionals night. And again, if you're in the medical profession, nurse, doctor, whatever, OBGYN, awesome, then we would like to introduce you to our clinic. Absolutely. And who knows, perhaps one day you'll even be part of the staff or staff of our next facility, which is what we're praying for. Join us in prayer, believing that the Lord is going to help us open up that next clinic so that we can serve the people of Las Vegas. All right, we got great stuff in the news today, amazing stuff. You're not going to believe this, but I'll start with this. I mentioned it last week. New Jersey's there's a first choice women's resource center in New Jersey. And guess what happened? The New Jersey Attorney General didn't like them, right? Obviously, because he's pro-choice. And he decided that he was going to require that their facility, their clinic, their licensed clinic, turn over all of the donor information, turn over donor addresses, amount of just turn it over to the Attorney General. They were now requiring all of this information, which was crazy. Obviously, we knew why they were doing that, because they wanted to dry up the donor base of, these clinics, just like First Choice in New Jersey, right? And of course, First Choice sued. And the first time they sued, they got blocked. And they sued again, blocked. They appealed it all the way to Supreme Court, and they won. They absolutely won, which is crazy. You would think, and it was a unanimous ruling. Amazing. A unanimous Supreme Court put a block in front of an anti-life scheme by the state of New Jersey that demanded pro-life centers to provide pro-abortion activists in state government the names, phone numbers, addresses, places of employment of many of their donors. It's crazy. The ruling found that such a demand implicates the First Amendment by chilling the pregnancy center's speech and association rights. And the fight was on behalf of First Choice Women's Resource Centers, which includes 5 faith-based pregnancy centers in the state of New Jersey, in the Garden State. And the bad guy in all of this, State Attorney General Matthew Platkin. And he was the guy insisting on full access. full access. We want to know who's given how much. If you donated $5, we want that guy's name, number, home address. And we want that turned over to the state. It was crazy. It was amazing. The Supreme Court held to its long-standing precedent of recognizing that the Constitution protects First Choice and its donors from demands by a hostile state official to disclose donor identities and contact information. And New Jersey's Attorney General targeted First Choice, a ministry that provides parenting classes, free ultrasound, baby clothes, and more to the community there, simply because of its pro-life views. And that is blatantly unconstitutional. And should the Attorney General continue these efforts on remand, we look forward to presenting First Choice's case in federal court, which they did, and they ended up winning. And Amy Huber, who's the executive said that for more than 2 years, Attorney General Platkin targeted First Choice with aggressive demands for sensitive documents, including our donors' identities, gone to great lengths to frustrate the important work that we do, work that has made a tangible, life-saving difference for tens of thousands of New Jersey women and their children. As the Supreme Court recognized, the government can't evade federal court review when it harasses those who support pro-life ministries just because it disagrees with their message and their mission. And the unanimous court ruled that an official demand for private donor information is enough to discourage reasonable individuals from associating with a group. From its allegations and declarations, and given our many and longstanding precedents in the area, and reasonable inferences about third-party behavior, First Choice has established that the Attorney General's demand for private donor information injures the group's First Amendment association right. And they won. And they won. And listen, it's not the first time. Look, here in the state of Nevada, you don't think this happens? You think if you think that this is like a fluke, there's 1 in a million case, not so. Not so. The legislature in the state of Nevada's first bill, this past legislative session, was targeted squarely at First Choice, and by inclusion, Women's Resource Center as well, also known as All Life here. Specifically to the only 2 crisis pregnancy centers in the state of Nevada, right? And thankfully, it was defeated. Actually, I don't think it even made it out of committee, thanks to, I think either it did make it out of committee or Governor Lombardo vetoed it. And again, just harassing legislation from people who don't like what we do, because we stand for life. We stand for the Lord, we stand for life, and we love our patients. And there's people that don't like that in the legislature, and they target us. And listen, New Jersey and Nevada are not the only. This is replicated throughout the United States. And now we've got the Supreme Court said enough of that. Enough. And it'd be interesting to see if, I don't know if they can file a civil suit against the government, but I mean, it's harassment. It's just governmental harassment. And thankfully, the Supremes got it right. Unanimous, by the way. So that's just very, very good news. Now, in another crazy story, you're not going to believe this. You wouldn't believe it unless I told you, and then you could go and find out for yourself. Costco, folks. I know there's a lot of folks. I know there's a lot of people that love Costco. Costco is now going to sell discounts for in vitro fertilization and egg freezing. And you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about human egg freezing. They're going to, I don't make this up. This is Costco. In the news, Costco Wholesale partnering with telehealth provider Sesame and fertility clinic network IVI RMA North America. It sounds like a lot, but that's the name of a fertility clinic. It's going to offer members, you Costco members, discounted access to fertility treatments, including in vitro fertilization, egg freezing, and intrauterine insemination, along with the savings of up to 80% on certain medication. So Costco, it's giving new meaning to full service, I guess. I mean, but okay, we haven't discussed this a lot on the show, and I'm not going to get into the weeds on this, but there are problems with in vitro fertilization. I know the Trump administration is big on in vitro fertilization. A lot of Christians are split on this. A lot of Christians, they have gone through it. They would consider it successful because they have children now from the procedure, where before they may have, had fertility problems or weren't able to have children. And there are 2 camps on this. But before you start singing the praises of this medical procedure, you have to understand that there are some issues with this. According from data from obviously pro-life organizations, approximately 4.1 million embryos are created via IVF, in vitro fertilization, every year in the United States. And less than 100,000 of those are born as a result, 97,000. So you have 4.1 million, right, of these fertilized eggs, which are frozen, right? And only 97,000 of those result in a live birth. Now we have an issue, because now what's happening to the vast majority of all of these human beings at the very earliest stages of life, right? Estimates of embryos currently in frozen storage nationwide range between 1 to 10 million, and only 2.3% of IVF embryos result in a live birth, according to figures. And the argument's been made that life begins at the moment of fertilization, which we all know, and each embryo, whether it's formed in the womb or created in a lab, is priceless, unique, and deserves to be valued. And I could not agree more. Every life created through IVF is precious and deserves to be protected. And right now, we don't know what's happening to the majority of those fertilized eggs. We really don't. And the other problem with it is, here's the thing. Here's how this works. Because a lot of times a fertilized egg does not fails. If, like, for example, if only one were to be placed in the womb of the mom, a lot of times the embryo fails, dies on its own, fails to implant, is discarded from the womb, whatever. And in fact, that's very, very often. To circumvent this and to ensure that there is a pregnancy, what a lot of these companies are doing, and their doctors, they're inserting multiple fertilized embryos in the wombs of these couples that are having trouble becoming pregnant. And what happens is that sometimes you have more than one child that is developing in the womb. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. And so the problem becomes, now we have too many. So now you have a selective reduction of the embryos that are in that womb. We call selective reduction abortion, because now you're going to destroy, because, if you have 6, 7, 8 embryos that are now forming, live human beings that are growing in the womb, well, that's too many. I don't want that many. So what happens is they start destroying in the womb a number of these that have taken, if more than one or more than whatever the mother wants to have is in the womb. And there's a problem with this. And that's the problem. We've even heard of sex selection in the womb, where you've got 2 embryos going and you figured out, well, one's a boy, the other one's a girl. Well, I don't want a girl, I want the boy. And then the girl is aborted, right? And it's all kinds of problems. And now you could make the argument, Kenny, that is the problem of the mother, not the problem of the procedure. But this is the end result of that. And, listen, I've got 5 beautiful kids, and I love all of them. And I'm very grateful that my wife was able to have these children, and we didn't have any problems. And for those families that are struggling with this, I know this is difficult. It's a difficult thing. And I'm not going to say this is the answer, but there is another answer, and that answer is adoption. And I know that may sound insensitive to some, but it is an answer for some couples. It is an answer, rather than going through this procedure. And like I said, I know this is difficult, but the bottom line is the only reason we're talking about it today is because Costco is now the initiative. Costco now selling discounts for IVF and egg freezing. Crazy. The initiative provides telehealth consultations starting at $99 per month through Sesame, along with diagnostics and care coordination. Patients needing advanced treatments such as IVF or egg freezing are referred to IVI RMA clinics, which is who Costco is partnering with. And it's just crazy. Costco's program does not care about the ethical questions and focuses instead on affordability and access for members seeking fertility care. I mean, why would you start this, first of all? I mean, is there that much money involved? I mean, listen, everybody does something for a profit, but I mean, really, is this where you want to go, Costco? I don't know. But anyway, I mean, you wouldn't believe it if I didn't tell you, but Costco now in the business of in vitro fertilization. Crazy, Costco. They've got 145 million members. I guess I figure, 1/100th of 1% of our customers are going to use IVF. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Also in the news today, Susan B. Anthony is wanting the Food and Drug Commissioner Marty Makary to be fired for ignoring the abortion drug problems. And there's a reason for this. Now, Susan B. Anthony, whom we love, very pro-life organization, it's political, but they're an advocate. You could almost call them, one of the lobbying group, the pro-life lobbying groups that and they're right to life. You could consider a lobbying special interest, whatever you want to call it. They're not all bad, but in any event, Susan B. Anthony is calling on the administration to fire Marty Makary because of his statements. He said, for months, the administration said that a new safety study on the abortion drug, this is the drug Mifepristone, formerly known as RU46, the women are given, can mail order it, you can get it, the boyfriend, husband can give it to you, they're passing them out like crazy, there's no in-person medical consultation. There's no testing to find out if there's a problem with the pregnancy. You just have the drugs. If it's an ectopic pregnancy, you are going to end up in the hospital. You're going to end up in the emergency room, and Lord willing, you don't lose your life. It's dangerous to be handing out these drugs. And many, many, many thousands and thousands of people have been complaining, including many states legislatively, have been complaining to the administration, to the Trump administration, to halt the distribution of this drug into states, over half of which have laws on the books attempting to curtail medications being mailed to them across state lines, especially the abortion drug, without in-person consultation by a doctor. Because what's happening is they do these telehealth things, and the telehealth crosses state lines. And then the doctor prescribes a drug, and if your state is a pro-life state like Louisiana, then you can get the abortion drug even though the state law forbids this drug or taking the drug in their state because it procures an in-home abortion. So for months, the administration said that a new safety study was coming concerning the abortion drug, Mifepristone. And Makary, who is the Food and Drug Administration Commissioner, said publicly that his agency is working on the data acquisition needed to finish the review. In other words, you know what this sounds like, right? And it's going to get worse because we're going to get into detail. We're having trouble finishing the review process to find. You're the Food and Drug Administration. You've been doing this for products by the millions for decades. Now all of a sudden you're having problems. Privately, the Food and Drug Administration Commissioner has told others in his administration that he can't produce the study until a new drug safety data monitoring system known as Sentinel 3.0 is up and running, said, people who know, insiders. And Makary argued that current systems are inadequate to the task, a claim that some FDA staff dispute. The FDA hasn't yet finished the lengthy process of finding a contractor to run the new system, which might not be ready to use until late 2026 or even 2027. Some of the staffers said. And so this is, what this is? This is a delay. This is the ultimate install. Well, we have this software, And we can't we want to get the results in about how many women, how many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of women are being harmed by the drug. But wait, before we do that, we've got to install this software. We're having trouble getting this software because we need someone to run the software, and we're having trouble finding that person. And really, Susan B. Anthony said that enough's enough. Enough is enough, and they want them fired. And this is such a stall. Abortion drugs today are sending women and girls to emergency rooms with as many as 11% suffering severe adverse effects like hemorrhaging, infection, sepsis, and even death. According to the Charlotte Logier Institute, 75% of visits from women who went to the emergency room after taking abortion drugs were coded as severe or critical. Are you hearing this? FDA Commissioner McCary, according to Susan B. Anthony, should be fired immediately. Indifference is completely unacceptable to millions of pro-life voters expecting the administration to act to save lives, according to Susan B. Anthony. Abortions are up and not down after Dobbs, with at least 1.1 million deaths per year by abortion. More than 90,000 abortions occur each year just in states that protect babies in the law throughout all 9 months of pregnancy, a direct result of Biden's COVID-era mail-order abortion drug rule, which the Trump administration inexplicably allows to continue. Without basic in-person medical supervision, male buyers of the abortion drug have a frightening, easy tool to abuse women, like abortion drug coercion survivor Rosalie Markovic and their children. The Supreme Court will now decide whether this injustice ends here or whether it raises its ugly head over and over again. This is a five-alarm crisis for the pro-life movement and for the GOP. The states-only strategy promoted out of fear after Dobbs is an abject failure in the face of blue states brazenly violating state sovereignty and nullifying hard-won pro-life gains. And the GOP cannot win without its base and simply will not get the enthusiasm that drives turnout without leadership from the top, said Susan B. With one-third of the most engaged primary voters sidelined and unheard, the Trump administration's inactions puts lives and voter morale at risk every day, the longer it goes on. And on Friday, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals granted abortion drug coercion survivor Rosalie Markovic, we read this story, and the state of Louisiana's request to halt the agency's Biden COVID-era policy allowing mail-order abortion drugs effective immediately, while their lawsuit, Louisiana versus FDA, moves forward, finding that they're likely to succeed on its merits. That case. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday morning put an administrative stay on the Fifth Circuit decision for 1 week while the parties respond to abortion drug manufacturer Danco Laboratories' appeal. And Danco is the provider of the abortion pill Mifepristone, and one of them. And listen, I've heard stalls, but never have I seen more stalls. I think I've seen more stalls at Santa Anita than the stall that Macari is putting in for the abortion drug review. I mean, how many tens of thousands of women, could be in the hundreds of thousands now, have been harmed by this drug? And the Food and Drug Administration is just turning a deaf ear. If it was a crisis, they'd be on it. If it was COVID, they'd be on it immediately. They wouldn't be waiting for software to upload and, and looking for someone to review, and we're trying to find the right person to run the software. And, if that's not a stall, I don't know what is. I really don't. And so Susan B. Anthony has had enough. And frankly, a lot of Americans are upset. And because the sad reality is many people voted for Trump believing that abortion would be at least decreased in number. But what are we seeing? Since the Trump administration took effect, we have more abortions occurring now than ever before in American history. And that's where we're at today because of the proliferation of this abortion drug throughout all 50 states, regardless of state laws. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We're going to hear from our sponsor, and we will be right back. I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of the great sponsors that make this portion of the broadcast possible, and that's Dr. Ray Kelly of Kelly Chiropractic. Treats injuries from falls, accidents, motor vehicle crashes, work-related incidents. For those of you who are suffering from allergies, he also has a procedure called acutherapy, going to treat your allergies and ease some of that discomfort. Accepts most forms of insurance. Been in the business over 33 years here in Las Vegas. Give him a call. Set up your appointment. The number 702-870-9200. And welcome back, folks, to the Champions for Life broadcast. I'm your host, Ken Wilson. Just so delighted to be in the studio with you today. I really am. It's just such an honor to be able to volunteer and work at First Choice. I give you a great opportunity to come and visit the clinic. You can call and make a tour of the facility anytime. Just call because, listen, we're always busy here. But give them a call and see what a beautiful clinic we have, a beautiful facility. Now, we offer free pregnancy tests. We offer free ultrasound. We offer free counseling for women to find out, where they're at in their pregnancy. Find out what kind of help they need. Maybe they want adoption services. Maybe they want material needs. We hook them up. If they decide to keep their baby, we hook them up with diapers and supplies and needs. Sometimes young ladies need housing. Maybe even housing is an issue. There's resources for that as well. First Choice Pregnancy Services really is an amazing resource for women who are facing unplanned pregnancies. And it's a great resource for you if you happen to know young ladies who are in a predicament. And so I urge you, become familiar with First Choice. And at the very least, get our number down. Our number is 702-294-CARE, 294-2273. And if you find a young lady that's in trouble, you can give them our number and our website, firstchoicelv.com. From that website, you can schedule an appointment, find out about all of our services, our staff, how long we've been here, whatever, all the things that we do. Beautiful pictures there as well. And we also have on our website the abortion pill reversal protocol hotline. And the reason that's important is because if a young lady takes the abortion drug, now the clock is ticking. And we must get that young lady to a doctor immediately in order to save the life of their child. And so far, I think we have a couple of dozen children that are alive today because of the abortion reversal protocol from our clinic. Amazing. I've gotten to meet some of the mothers from just our abortion reversals. And they're beautiful children. It's just amazing. It's a miracle. It really is a miracle. So if you'd like more information, again, give First Choice a call. Call and set up a tour. And not only that, we would love to come to your church or group, especially you youth pastors out there, and familiarize your congregation or your youth team, right, about what First Choice provides. And you say, well, listen, if you're a youth pastor, you say, oh, nah, are you kidding? My kids don't need that. We're tight. Yes, but your young people have friends in school and in college, right, that may very well need First Choice's services one day. Or they may need to know how do I minister to this young friend of mine, right, that I've gotten to know and is a friend, now is in trouble. How do I do that, right? Well, part of the answer is you, pastor, showing her how to minister from the Word. The other part of that is the material help that we can give from First Choice. So that's why we would love to come to your congregation and meet with your youth or meet with your congregation, and we would love to set that up. And furthermore, for you pastors out there, we love you so much because you're crucial to what the Lord is doing in our city, that we're going to buy you lunch. And that lunch is coming up on May 14th. It's going to be at the Four Seasons Church. That will be May 14th, 12 noon. I believe that's a Thursday. And it's free. We're going to buy you lunch. And all you have to do is RSVP, tell us that you're coming. Here's the number 702-515-9844. That's 515-9844. For those of you who are on looking and watching on YouTube, Rumble, or Facebook, we have the QR code there as well. It's available. You can contact Loretta at fcpschampions.org. Or events at fcpschampions.org, and we'll take your RSVP, and it won't cost you a dime. We'll buy your lunch. Find out what we're about, and then invite us to your church. If you love us, invite us. And I think you'll find that not only are we going to make a beautiful lunch for you, but you're going to find out that the people that are running this ministry and clinic are wonderful folks. They're just angels. They really are. And you're going to love them. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. The host of your show, volunteer at First Choice Pregnancy Services, would never take a dime from them because we want every single dollar to go and impact our community. And that's just because we love what they're doing. Absolutely. And speaking of our donors, of course, Dr. Ray Kelly, who you just heard the advertisement for, beautiful guy. Love Doc Kelly. Going to see him tomorrow. Doc Kelly, beautiful guy. He's a pastor, by the way. He is a pastor out in Pahrump. Now, he has a medical office here in Las Vegas, but his home and his church is in Pahrump. And would you believe it? He has written a book. Yes, he has. Now, look at this. Demystifying the mystical experience of relationship with God. Now, I know it's a long title. It's a long title. And look here, you got his picture on the back. Look at that. There he is right there. And my man, Dr. Ray Kelly. And it's hot off the press. Now, look, you can get it off of Amazon. In fact, I think he's pulling it up. Max is pulling it up on the screen for you now. And you can get it for off the website for $28, for Amazon for $28. But you know what? If you go and visit Doc Kelly and say, hey, listen, I just want you mention Champions for Life, right? And you're going to get a discount on your book. It's going to be a beautiful book. Now, listen, it's hot off the press. I haven't read it yet, so I've got to read it. Once I read it and I'm demystified, once I'm demystified, I am going to, we're going to bring Doc Kelly on the show, and we're going to talk about his book, and I'm going to grill him. I can't grill him because he could up my rates, because I do see him as a client. Speaking of that, I want you to know the services that Doc Kelly provides. I love Doc Kelly, but I'll tell you this: I have, I have 5 kids, obviously, but my second youngest daughter was having migraines, right? And 12 years old, now 13, and every month, right? So you're thinking, okay, well, we know what that's about. Well, migraines are tough, though. Migraines, if it's, a headache is one thing, but if you have a migraine, that shuts your day down. For those of you that suffer from that, you know how debilitating it is. Doc Kelly says, bring her in. Bring her in. I was like, well, you're a chiropractor. How are you, bring her in. Would you believe immediately after being not only adjusted, but being cared for by Doc Kelly, immediately the migraines waned. I don't think she had another migraine for like another 3 months, 2 or 3 months. And when she did the next one, it was far less. And now she is a whole big-time believer in Dr. Ray Kelly. That's my 13-year-old daughter. My point being, if you're suffering from any type of pain, and I don't care what it is, I really don't. He treats everything from plantar fasciitis to allergies. Isn't that crazy? He has a procedure for those of you that suffer from allergies called acutherapy. And it's just amazing. And so if you would like to obtain this book, again, you can go to Amazon, pick it up. You're absolutely going to love it. And again, if you'd like to obtain this book, first of all, like I said, we're going to read it. We're going to bring them on the show, and we're going to grill them because we can. And then we're going. But if you would like this book, you would get it as a very great discount. And what a great thing to do. For example, maybe you're suffering from allergies or any kind of pain, whatever it is. Go see Doc Kelly and then grab his book while you're there. I mean, how cool is that? And then have them sign it for you. Now, I realized they gave me the book and he didn't sign it. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to see him tomorrow. And I'm going to have him sign my book and we'll be good to go. And then we're going to read it and live happily ever after. Dr. Ray Kelly of Kelly Chiropractic, one of the sponsors of the Champions for Life broadcast. All right, we got one story here on the time remaining. And as you know, here at First Choice, we offer the abortion pill reversal protocol, which is an amazing thing when you think about it, right? Because you have this abortion drug. It used to be called RU486. Would you believe it was made by the same company that created, it's a daughter company now, but the same company in Europe that produced the gas that killed the Jews during the Holocaust under Hitler's regime? That very same, it's a subsidiary, but they're now producing. They produced RE46, now it's been changed to Mifepristone. Isn't that crazy? And now they've sublet to other companies like Danco and so forth to produce. Isn't that frightening? I mean, that should tell you something intrinsic. One day we're going to do an in-depth on Herschel Ucliffe, I believe is the name of that company. It sounds something odd name out there in Europe, and do a background on it and about who they are. And what a wonderful company that they are. Can you imagine being on the board, Max, of that company when you're standing before the Lord? I mean, I'm sure the Lord is going to give them time to review their life and then just press the button and they're gone. I mean, you're just going straight down. Do not pass go. Oh gosh, wow, how horrible. But in any event, we have a story by an OBGYN that says this abortion drug, RU46, also known as Mifepristone, which is now being handed out like candy to everyone, right? Doesn't matter what your laws in your state are. This doctor says that the abortion pill has killed millions of babies and injured thousands of women. And this doctor is named Ingrid Skop. And there she is. There's a picture of those of you on YouTube, beautiful picture of Dr. Skop, board-certified OBGYN and vice president of medical affairs at the Charlotte Lozier Institute, said, good doctor, for too long, the predatory abortion industry has prioritized access in the form of mail-order abortion drugs over actual medical care. And the result is the countless deaths of unborn humans as abortions continue to rise while women suffer the painful consequences. As an OBGYN in Texas, with more than 30 years of experience, I've cared for many women in the emergency room who've been harmed by the mail-order abortion drugs. Many were shocked to experience serious complications because they've been falsely reassured that the abortion drugs are safer than Tylenol. That phrase, safer than Tylenol, has been verified. It's repeated over and over again by Planned Parenthood and abortion clinic staff, right? Oh, it's safer than Tylenol. For the baby, it's fatal. And sadly for the mom as well, sometimes, sadly. Dr. Scope, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing her name, continued, these complications include hemorrhaging, incomplete abortion, infection, hospitalization, and even death. And we're talking about the mom's death. Even when dispensed in person, abortion drugs carry significant risks. Mail-order abortion makes the situation even more dangerous, creating a wild, wild west in the emergency room. We are increasingly seeing the reports of abusive partners ordering these drugs to poison or coerce pregnant women into unwanted abortions. Women are also stockpiling these drugs and consuming them before they've decided if they really want an abortion. There's often no ultrasound to confirm the gestational age of the unborn baby, increasing the risk of failures in more advanced pregnancies, or rule out a potentially deadly ectopic pregnancy. Now, for those of you who don't know what you ladies know what it is, but a lot of you men out there have no idea. Obviously, a baby's supposed to develop in the womb. Well, there's fallopian tubes. You know what those are. Well, sometimes the baby begins to develop in the fallopian tube of a woman rather than in the womb, in the uterus. And that can have deadly consequences if, sadly, something isn't done about that. But if you take this drug, the abortion drug, and there's an ectopic pregnancy, the woman could not only end the life of her child, but also end up killing herself because of internal bleeding and rupturing of the fallopian tube. And it's happening. It's already happening. And so she says, Dr. Scott said, there are often no labs to determine the Rh status, rule out severe anemia, or diagnose sexually transmitted infections, which may lead to complications in the current or future pregnancies or infertility. The FDA's pandemic-era decision to remove the in-person dispensing requirement opened the door to rampant mail-order abortion and prioritized the destruction of unborn human life, leaving many women as collateral damage. A growing body of peer-reviewed evidence shows abortion drugs are far more dangerous than advertised, putting women and girls at serious risk. They go on to list some stats here. Risks and complications of abortion drugs are higher than the abortion industry acknowledges, obviously. Studies of later drug-induced abortion show even higher rates of complication and death. Abortion drugs have a four times the complication rate of surgical abortion. We're not condoning either, but the reality is what it is. As many as 1 in 5 women will suffer a complication from abortion drugs. 1 in 5. As many as 1 in 10, actually it's 1 in 11, will visit the emergency room for abortion-related reasons after taking the drug. And compared to surgical abortion and live births, abortion drugs were associated with significantly higher rates of severe or critical emergency room visits. The FDA's own label for abortion drug indicates that roughly 1 in 25 women who take drugs will end up in the emergency room, but that's not true. That's their thing. You say, well, 1 in 25, from Mr. McCark, who says, Mr. McCary, who says that he doesn't have, he's still loading the software. He's still stalling in the Food and Drug Administration. We go, well, we can't do the review. We can't because we still have to have someone. Maybe they can call you, Max, and have them install the software for them so that we can start, getting the FDA to review the deadly abortion drug because apparently he can't do it. Apparently, there's a Microsoft hourglass thing that's spinning, and while Food and Drug Administration. You can understand why Susan B. Anthony is upset. And stats continue. About 40% of women reported severe pain after abortion drug use, rating it between 8 to 10 on the pain scale. Ladies, listen. 40% of women, severe pain. When we say severe, 8 to 10. 10 is, I tell them, how much does it hurt? Well, it's a 10, Dad. Well, a 10 is like you're sawing off your own leg. Well, okay, maybe it's a 3. No, the women are saying 8 to 10. Listen, if women tell you that the pain is 10, it's 10. 40%. That's almost half, folks. 8 to 10 on the pain scale after taking the abortion drug. And these drugs result in an incomplete abortion approximately 3 to 7% of the time. 3 to 7%, requiring additional drugs or surgery. I mean, it's just, and it's being dispensed by the millions throughout the United States. And the FDA is still loading the software. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's inexcusable is what it is. Because women are hurting. That's why I love First Choice. The women that come here, they're experiencing problems. Maybe they've taken the abortion drug, boom, we get them into our doctor, try to reverse it. Maybe they're contemplating abortion, and we show them, first of all, we give them an ultrasound, let them show, hey, listen, there's a real baby in there with a heartbeat, right? Before no one's else going to tell you this, we're showing you right now. That's your child. Do you want to do this? right? Or we counsel them. Maybe they've gone through an abortion already and they're hurting and they need someone. First Choice is there for you. Maybe you're listening to this broadcast right now and you say, you know what? I'm pregnant. I don't have any answers. I really don't. Maybe you're a teen, mom and dad threaten to throw me out if I don't have an abortion, whatever it is. Please, I'm urging you, give First Choice a call. We exist for you. There are a lot of answers there for you that we have. There's a lot of people in community and ministries that are ready and willing and able to help you. Give us a call. Our number, 702-294-CARE. That's 294-2273. Or look us up on the website, firstchoicelv.com. First Choice, got to spell it all out, firstchoicelv.com. And you can set up an appointment right there. Just click the button. Or just give us a call, fire us off an email, do whatever you need to do. And we have the abortion pill hotline there as well. So if you've taken the drug and you need help immediately, and we will get you to a doctor immediately if you've taken the drug, 877-558-0333. Again, 877-558-0333 for our abortion pill reversal protocol. Folks, that's the end of the broadcast. Listen, it's been an absolute joy speaking with you today about this wonderful, wonderful clinic and ministry. If you have questions about anything that you've heard today, please, I urge you, give First Choice a call because we are here for you. And remember, you can be a champion for life.